What is going on, everybody? This is Plan Your Greatness, and I am your gracious host, Carlton Hamilton. And let's get started today. There's my camera. We are continuing this series where we are going over all the parts in the book. This is the book, Plan. How to Plan Your Greatness. You can get this on Amazon right now. I will forewarn you that there are some grammatical errors still in the book, and I'm doing my best to update it as fast as I can and get the new versions up there. However, if you want to get a signed copy of the book, hit me in the comments. We'll work out a payment. I'll get it ordered, I'll get it signed, and I'll get it sent out to you, and then we can do it from there. But if you just want to get a copy of it, I just got a notice that some people had bought the book from Amazon. It was really cool when you get that notification from the publisher that some people have bought your book, and so you're getting some royalties. So I usually get a little something every month because some people are reading the book. But now I'm actually putting forth the effort to really advertise that. All right. So along with that book, you'll be able to find this one as well. This is called Fair Exchange: Conversations with an Uber Driver. That's another book. I won't go into details about that right now, but that is another book on there. If you want to go online and see what it's about, as you can see, it's a very short read, but it's very powerful. Some information that I got from some conversations that I shared, that I had with people. Super powerful book. I think I had almost 400 interviews, and we were talking about it was 4 questions I asked. Again, I'm not going to go into details. I'll talk about that later on when I'm done with this book. But all right. We are now at chapter 1. We have gone through all the introductory stuff for the book, but we are now at chapter 1. And chapter 1's title is Obituary. And you're probably saying to yourself, why would you have one of your chapters called Obituary? Well, I'm glad you asked. What happened is, as I was editing the book, I was editing my journal. And I stopped editing the journal and I started writing the book. I started thinking of all of the things that fell into place that allowed me to be where I am right now. From getting the lawyer, how I got that lawyer. That's a separate story in and of itself. How that lawyer connected with my family. How that lawyer knew the prosecuting attorney. Because that set a lot of things in motion. Because when she came and first met me, she didn't know who the prosecuting attorney was going to be. And she came right to me and said, Mr. Hamilton, based on the mitigated circumstances of your crime, you are facing a minimum of 19 to 67 years in prison. All I could do was the math in my head. And I was 31 years old at the time. So I'm thinking a minimum of 19, that means I'm 50, life's over. Maximum of 67 years, that means I'm going to be 98 years old. Not only is my life is over, I'm probably going to be dead. And so all the things that fell into place, as far as the support I got, the judge, everything fell into place to where I walked out of that courtroom over, January, February, March, April, May, June, February, March, April. In a 4 month span, I went from facing 67 years to walking out of that courtroom with 4 years. Now, how did that all happen? Again, I'm going through my mind and just saying, brother, you blessed, you blessed, you blessed, you blessed. Everything that I was thinking of was like, you are blessed, you are blessed. There's favor. You got favor, brother. You got this. Yeah, absolutely filled with gratitude and thanks. And then a thought came across my mind. I said, what if all that stuff didn't happen? What if everything that went right would have went left? Where would I be? How would I handle that mentally? And I started thinking about that. All the things that could have possibly went wrong. If they had gone wrong, I would have been facing what you're reading in the obituary. The obituary is if everything that fell into place for the good everything would have fell into place to go the other direction. See, my lawyer knew the prosecuting attorney. She actually interned for him. Now think about that. How powerful is that? That means she's going to be able to sit down and Grant, let's be real here. My lawyer was fine, a fine sister. So I guarantee when she was clerking for that dude, I'm not saying anything happened. I don't think anything happened. My lawyer seemed to have a very high level of integrity. But guarantee he was loving her coming in every day. She was fine. Light-skinned sister, smart, great shape, good smile, great name. I'm not even going to say her name. All I will say is she's a professor now at Arizona State University. But she was good. So imagine he knows her. So she probably said, hey, let's get to lunch. He was like, okay, shoot, let's do it. And they're talking, they're eating lunch, and she said, yeah, I got this client, he's facing this, and she's telling him everything about baseball player and life turn. And he was like, I got you, we're going to take it easy on him. But she had told me that initially he was going to make an example out of me. Now think about that. That means instead of it going left, it went right. So all these things are falling in place. And so now I'm writing in the book, this obituary, as if everything went left. That I didn't have the lawyer, that I didn't have favor with the prosecuting attorney, that I didn't have favor with the judge. They just looked at everything that was going along with my case and just threw everything at me. And I'm facing this 67 years. And how powerful that would be weighing on somebody. And I walk you through my thought process. How in my mind, I'm thinking wasted opportunities. I was this great baseball player, and I just wasted that opportunity. I should have listened to the coaches. And I know, and I'm not going to get off into the weeds too much, but I know enough now that had I started that process, that's a frequency. And if I had continued that frequency, all I would have done would have just attracted everything to make it go left. It would have went left. But because my frequency changed, and there's another story I'll share with that as far as how I'll share that later on. But I started thinking more on a very positive, higher level of frequency, and everything started falling into place. Phenomenal. So now I'm talking through this because there was once that case went the way it went, still I wasn't out of the weeds. I still had to serve time in prison. And all these things were just being built upon because everything was going right. So then I started looking, I said, well, heck, let's try to do something with this. Carl, let's make the rest of your life the best of your life. I started taking college courses. I started thinking and meditating and trying to learn as much as I could through this process. There was something that I had to look down at my notes. There was something that I heard, and I went online to see if it was confirmed. And that is, there's a myth going around that every student that gets into the Harvard Business School, their first assignment is to write an autobiography or an obituary that is going to land them on the New York Times front page. Now think about that. I believe the New York Times front page is the most prestigious newspaper on the planet. So think about it. When you die, your death is presented on the front page of the New York Times. That means you had to have been a New York Yankee, and you won a bunch of World Series, or you were a New York Knick and you finally brought them back a world championship. You were a New York Jet, and you brought them a Super Bowl after all these years. You were a president, and you were somebody that made a substantial stamp on the global society. If you ain't doing that, you're not making the front page of the New York Times. Now, the understanding is that when you write your obituary, you're going to imagine yourself doing something so life-changing that it gets you on the front page of the New York Times. So I was thinking in that space that, Well, hell, what happens if okay, so what I'm getting at is that's one of the assignments. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to write an obituary that was going to show me going actually the other direction. I had to regroup, I had to reassess, and then I had to reinvent myself. And that is a tall task for anybody, regardless of the conditions. And imagine I'm trying to do them and then navigate myself through this environment of prison. And so now I started doing, and I'm kind of bringing full circle back to that assignment that they had in Harvard, that I began asking myself and telling myself, these are the things that I want to accomplish from this point forward into the world. Now think about that. I'm in prison. I barely graduated high school. I had a 1.5 grade point average in high school. How do you do that? I ended up being getting a college degree, and I may go back and get my master's degree. I'm not that far from that. So just think about that. That type of individual ends up going and gets a bachelor's degree and is very close to getting his master's degree. That's not normal. Okay? So what I did while I was locked up is that I set my goals so astronomically high, intentionally. Because the thing is, if you set little small goals and you hit them, you may just have, man, anybody could have hit those. But I set my goals so high. I will show you one of these days. I'll grab the pieces of paper where I said I wanted to be a college graduate. I wanted to be a business owner. I wanted to be an author. Think about that. Somebody who barely graduated from high school saying that they want to be a college graduate, a business owner, an author. And so realistically, if it was now current, I would have probably said motivational speaker, content creator. I think I did say motivational speaker. But all these goals were so, if I would have told them, the people in prison, they would have looked at me like I was crazy, because they was like, Ninja, look where you are. Be more realistic. Just be happy you got out and got a job at, like in the, Shawshank Redemption, you got a job at the food place bagging groceries. Be happy with that. Don't try to go any further than that. Just be happy you're out. You ain't sleeping on the streets, and you're bagging groceries. You're making a little money. I said, no. I'm going to set my goals so high that when I hit them, I can look at them and say, wait a minute. If I can go from literally nothing and set goals of being a college graduate, I hit that goal. A business owner, I hit that goal. Motivational speaker, I hit that goal. An author, I hit that goal. I mean, I hit all of those goals, and there's other ones that I'm actually working on that I'm going to hit. And now I know I have the confidence to do anything now. And that was, when I look at the obituary, I reread it today, and I was walking around the store as it got a little slow, and I was reading that, and I was like, oh my God, how sad is this obituary? But at the very end of the obituary, I have two quotes. I pretty much have them memorized. The first quote is from The Natural. If you have not seen that movie, go watch that movie. Great baseball story. I mean, I love baseball. So it's a baseball story, but it's a story of redemption. There is a scene in the movie where Glenn Close comes to the hospital and goes to see Robert Redford. He's Roy Hobbs. He's the natural. And he's shaking his head. And she's like, what's up? And she said, he goes, man, I could have broke every record in the book. And he looks at her and she goes, but Roy, look at what you're doing now. He goes, I could have been better. And you've got to watch the whole story to know what he went through to get to that point of why he's in the hospital. And he said, I could have been better. I could have done everything. He said, I would have walked down the street and everyone would have said, there goes Roy Hobbs, the best there ever was. And she's like, what are you doing to yourself? She goes, look at what you're doing now. And he said, I could have been better. And she says, you know what? I believe we have two lives. The life we learn with and the life we live with after that. Even with all those records. And he looks at her and he goes, that's something to think about. And then the other quote that I have at the end, it comes from a motivational speech I remember hearing by Anthony Robbins. He was talking about when he was very young in his game of getting to where he's picking up the momentum. He's young in his motivational speaking. He said he was in Boston, Massachusetts, and he was in Copley Square. And if you know Copley Square, that's where all the British are coming and all that stuff takes place. And he said he's walking in there and he's just amazed at all the architecture in there. You've got modern stuff and then you've got stuff that's been here for 400 years. And he said this guy is coming and he said he could see he's homeless and he probably smells like alcohol. And he gets to him and he's asking him, hey man, can I get a quarter? And he said he sticks his hand in his pocket and he pulls out a quarter. And he's about to give it to him, but then he pulls his hand back and he said, life will pay any price you ask of it. And then he gives him the quarter. And I love that quote because that's on a very high level. And I'm making the connection to when I was in prison. The fact that I didn't settle, I said in my mind, I'm going to set my goals so high because I believe that if I believe that I can hit those, that I can get that, or that becomes a reality, then I believe what he's saying. Life will pay you for everything that you ask, and more specifically, that I believe I can have it. Now that is something that's key, is that people ask for stuff. But if you don't believe you can have it, you'll never get it. I can think of somebody specifically that I know that has expressed to me that they're asking for all these things. They believe. And I go, they're not coming because you don't believe. And again, people will argue with me about that going, well, I'm wishing, I really believe. I go, no. I said the universe is going to respond to you, to respond to your intent, and your universe is going to respond to your belief. To me, there's three areas or three lines of thinking that bring things in reality. If you want something, you have to first and foremost believe in your mind you can have it. Then you have to believe that you have the physical energy to bring it into existence. And the last thing is you have to believe that the financial resources, either you have them, or if you don't have them, you can get them. And that last part goes into the other two areas. If you think of something that you want, but you don't think you have the acumen, like say I want to be a welder, but I don't know how to weld. Well, do you believe you can go find the training to get it? Yes. If you believe you can find the training, you'll find the training. Here's the next one is you say, well, I don't have the physical body to do what I want to do. Well, do you believe you can get the training or spend the time to get the body that you need to accomplish the goal? If you believe you can, you will. Then in the last one, you say, I don't have the money. You hear this all the time. I don't have the money to go to school. I don't have the money for this. I don't have the money to this, that. Well, do you believe you can find the money? Or that somebody is going to get that, those resources are going to just come to you. If you believe that, and just like this, you go, I don't got the money now, but you know what? I'm going to get it. It's that simple. I don't have the intellectual capacity right now, but I'm gonna figure it out, get it. You know what? I don't have the physical body to endure maybe those long hours, but you know what? I'm going to get myself in that space and I'm going to get it done. See, there's a difference in that. You may not have it, but if you believe you can get it, you will get it. And as I mentioned before, that whole process of going to prison was one of the best things that happened to me again, but it's a double-edged sword. I don't wish that on my worst enemy, because what I was able to do in that space was regroup, reflect, and then reinvent myself. Again, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy because I don't know how you're built. I don't know if you will be able to do those things. But because I was able to do those things, absolutely, it has told me that I know how to plan my greatness. All right? Thank you all for joining today. I'm going to leave you with what I leave you with every time I'm on here, and that is plan your greatness. You know why? Because no one else will. I'll see you all next time.